Wonderful. Hello and welcome to the UMass Icons Summer Info Session. This is the second one we're hosting in August. We held one last night. My name is Wesley Dunham. I'm the Strategic Communication and Program Manager for the UMass Icons program. And I'm so excited to have everyone join us. We have so many first and second year students on the call today. And from all around the world, I do capture your hometown in the registration, just because it gives us a great idea of the breadth and depth of the not only the UMass student body, but those who are interested in the Icons program. So there's people from all over the United States and the world. So welcome, 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 and thank you for taking the time to be with us. In my role, I am the main staff person for the UMass Icons program. So I handle everything from advising to emails, event planning, scheduling, hiring faculty, website development, all that to vacuuming our public space, the iSpace, which Scott Auerbach, who's waving, is in right now. So if you have any questions, please ask me. I should note there's the iSpace. I think you're doing that purposely. Please ask me. You've received an email from Icons, and so you should know how to get a hold of us, and I will help answer anything you have. Along the lines of questions, a lot of you submitted questions ahead of time, or you might have questions additionally. Please put those in the chat if you have any new questions. We will do our best to answer them. We only have, at this point, 57 minutes, so we do want to be respectful of your time. And so we may not answer everything, especially if it's really detailed and specific, but I can try to answer that offline if you do have a question. Today, who will be talking? We have a panel of students. We have 4 Icon students, and there might be a 5th joining us, but right now it's 4. And they'll introduce themselves in just a little bit. And we also have Dr. Scott Auerbach, Executive Director, the Mahoney family-sponsored Executive Director of the UMass Icons program. So again, thank you, welcome, and I'm going to hand it over now to Scott to tell you a little bit more about what this thing is, this thing called UMass Icons.
Thank you so much, Wesley. I want to thank you so much for your great job to organize this. I want to thank the students, Shaylin, Lauren, Katie, and Esther, for giving your time and your wisdom about what Icons is about. And of course, I want to thank everybody on this call for your interest to learn about Icons. I've got some slides to share, so I'm going to look for them and share them. There they go. And I'm a physical chemist by training, which means I love lasers. So I'm going to get a laser pointer. Cool. All right. So here we go. I'm going to share with you some information about the UMass Icons program. First of all, ICON stands for something. It's Integrated Concentration in STEM. There's an emphasis on STEM innovation and evidence and logical thought for solving real-world problems. The other thing is that we want to inspire a diverse generation of innovators, not only across STEM, but also in business and policy, because these are the fields that need to come together to move the needle on real-world problems. Why a focus on real-world problems? Because I don't know about you, but we got a lot of what you think, but I think we got a lot of problems. I mean, if you think about the fact that we're still getting almost 80% of our energy from burning fossil fuels. It's been right around 80% for many, many years. And with the exponential increase in solar and wind, it's down to maybe 78%. So it's not moving much, and that's a problem. We also used to send a lot of our waste materials to China to be repurposed into new materials that we purchase. The problem is with China's economic growth, they have enough waste materials of their own. So we have no place to send this now. And we have just mountains of garbage that are piling up, emitting greenhouse gases. That's a problem. Then there's global climate change and the redistribution of water across the planet, which is impacting our ability to grow food, putting food security at risk across the globe. And that's a problem. And I haven't even mentioned infectious disease, COVID, things like cancer. I mean, the list goes on. And I don't know about you, raise your hand if you're a little worried about the future. I am worried about the future. However, there is a message of hope. And the message of hope is that every real world problem can be a great educational opportunity. And that is the driving ethos behind icons. The question is, how do we make it a good educational opportunity? And that's shown here. And this is our tagline with icons: diverse teams of students working on today's big problems. First of all, we need diverse teams because you have access to so many awesome majors at UMass, whether it's in an engineering field, the physical sciences, could be math or statistics or finance. It could be geoscience or environmental science. It could be things like management or organizational structure. It could be things like psychology, neuroscience, whatever it is, where there's awesome majors at UMass. But the problem is, these problems don't fit in a major. They're big, multifaceted problems that require many majors. And who knows all that stuff? So there's not one person with the knowledge to be able to solve this. That's why we need diverse teams, diversity of thought in terms of majors, diversity of lived experience, diversity of human experience to come together, form a team around a problem, and then take that distributed expertise and solve that problem. So the bottom line is that you need icons to gain the skills for solving problems, and the world needs you to take icons so that when you graduate from college, you're ready to hit the ground running in whatever you do to solve problems. So my goal today is not only to educate you about icons, but to get you so excited about it that you will apply to the program. All right, so why do students come to do icons? Well, just like I said, there's a diversity of students, there's a diversity of reasons, and this just shows a few of them. Antonia was really excited about the idea of gaining skills that she knew companies would need. Skills like how to collaborate in diverse teams, how to communicate to diverse audiences. Those are critical skills that, unfortunately, students who are graduating from college rarely have, but from icons, they definitely have. Diana was concerned. She knew she had to pick a major, but she was concerned about getting sort of like too narrow in her thinking. And she wanted to be able to have a practice, an environment where she could practice connecting different kinds of thinking, whether it's across fields of STEM or even to other fields like social sciences or whatever your interests are. Shaq, or Shakandine, she goes by Shaq, she just wanted to be able to hit the ground running after college. She's like, so often employers find that students, it takes time for them to kind of ripen when they work for when they graduate from college, they're working for a company, or maybe they're in grad school, wherever they are. It takes time for them to be able to add value. Shaq wanted to be able to add value right out of the gate. And there's a whole variety of reasons. Maybe your reasons for being interested in showing up today are on the screen here. Maybe they're not. That's fine. Whatever your reasons to be interested in icons, they're the right reasons. So what is icons? So this is a busy slide. It has a lot of information, but it's important that you get this. So icons, first of all, has 3 problem-based tracks. So when you apply, we will ask you to self-identify as interested either in biomedicine, health of people, health of the planet, or clean energy, finding ways to generate sufficient and sustainable energy, or food, water, climate. 3 words, but one big problem is dealing with how climate change is changing the nature of food and water on the planet. Obviously, there's overlaps here, and that's okay. All of these connect to industries where we can help you to get jobs. So that's the first idea. So when you apply to icons, you pick a track, and I'll explain how that track shows up in your time in the program. So here is a graphic that kind of symbolizes 4 years of college. And broadly speaking, there are 2 ways that students will come into icons. This shows one of them, and I'll explain the other. So one way is that if a student knows they're interested in icons in their very first year of college, then what we ask you to do in your first year fall to apply to icons. I'll talk about the application a little bit later. We ask you to apply to icons, and if you get in and you decide to do it, then you take icons, the course called Icons 1, right away in your first year spring. And then what you do is you would take one course per year, icons 1, 2, and 3 for your first 3 years. Icons 1 is where you practice working in teams on real world problems of your choosing. That's another important thing, is all your work in icons, you're choosing the problems that are important to you. So you have a say in what you learn. In year 2, you focus on communication, learning how to read, write, speak, discuss, debate on issues relevant to the problem area that you've chosen, whether it's biomed, energy, or food, water, climate. So there's actually 3 different sections. You split up. This is where you begin your concentrated learning on the problem area that you've chosen. Then you continue on in Icons 3, and you get involved with prototyping solutions, oftentimes doing laboratory experiments. So again, there's a biomed lab, an energy lab, and a food, water, climate lab. I want to also add that there are other courses. So if you're interested, for example, in business, if you're a business major, you may be interested to take one of these more STEM-oriented courses, but you don't have to. You can take a finance-based course in the Eisenberg School of Management that counts for Icons 3 that has all the arms and legs of an Icons experience. If you're a policy student, same exact thing. There's a policy course that you can take. These typically occur in the fall, heads up. Then in year 4, you take a year-long project-based you have a year-long project where each student picks their own problem that is important to them. They work with a faculty member, sometimes in a lab, and you focus on that problem and you try to move the needle and solve that problem as best you can. So it's 1 course per year for the first 3 years, plus a year-long senior project. I want to emphasize the magic down here is that each of these is built to count for something that you already need to take. So icons will fit into your academic schedule. This is especially important for people who have like a double major or a major and a minor. We make sure that it can fit. Now, this is the first way that students can flow through icons. The second major way is because I think we have some rising sophomores, second-year students on the call today, is if, for example, you're just learning about icons or you heard about it last year, but you decided, I just want to get a year of college under my belt, it's totally fine. Then now this is where you are. You would be applying to icons in the fall of your second year. You would take Icons 1 in the spring of your second year, and you would take Icons 2 and 3. Icons 2 would be in the spring of your third year, and then depending upon which Icons 3 you take, it could either be in the fall or the spring of your third year. So basically, Icons 1, Icons 2 and 3, Icons 4. We've had many students do this with great success. All righty. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions that come up here. Questions like, can I study abroad? The short answer is absolutely. But you need to tell us as soon as you can, after you've gotten into the program, after you've been accepted, that you plan to do that so we can advise you how to do that. The other thing that I want to mention is many of our students are in the Commonwealth Honors College in Icons, but many are not. If you're in the Commonwealth Honors College, then you do your honors thesis, and that counts for your Icons 4. If you're not in the Honors College, that's great. That's fine. About half of our students complete Icons not in the Honors College. Then you do an independent study for your Icons 4. And we can talk more about that later. All right. So I want to just give you a flavor for a couple different kinds of projects that have been done in Icons. As you can imagine, we're starting our 15th year of, is that right, Wesley? 15th year? Wow. How did that happen? Anyway, we're starting our 15th year, so you can imagine there have been hundreds of different projects in Icons. I'm going to focus on 2 of them. So one is a group of students joined Icons, and they got excited about a project related to antibiotic resistance. Here's the words, antibiotic resistance in ICONS 1. And they got excited. This was very meaningful to two of the students because family members had catheter-borne hospital-acquired infections that were resistant to antibiotics. Very scary, very scary. And they decided this was the problem that not only did they want to focus on in ICONS 1, but throughout the 4 years of ICONS. They got so deep into this, they decided to start a company. They called it the Microbe Blasters, and in the process, they raised $70,000. This was raising $36,000 for their company. So this goes to show when you're passionate about something, you can use the ICONS program to further that and really move that into a productive way forward. Here's a second area related to the carbon emissions of campus. So by law, by Massachusetts state law, by the year 2050, UMass Amherst has to be a net zero campus. The problem is that we're presently the biggest emitter of carbon dioxide across all Massachusetts state agencies at a cool 126,000 metric tons per year. So we got to get that all the way down to zero. And the question is, how's that going to happen? So ICON students have been working on this now for 4 years, studying all kinds of possible solutions and making sure that the UMass administration is aware of the progress that they've made. So that just gives you a flavor of the ways that you can do real work in college. What are your next steps? Well, you'll be coming to campus soon, so we wish you a smooth, move in. As I said, there's an application. We can answer questions about it. There's also a focused application support session, and that's on October 8th. And that gives you a chance to bring whatever questions you have so that you are most well positioned for success. Then there's a deadline for applications, October 15th. And finally, there's something that we do in ICONS every fall called the Idea Slam, which gives you actually a flavor of what ICONS work is like. And you are all invited, and that's coming on October 22nd. If you want to make sure you're up to date on all information, please make sure that you go to the ICONS website early and often to see all updates on these things. So at the end of this, I hope that you've had a chance to learn about ICONS. I hope some of your questions have been answered, and mostly I hope that this has gotten you excited about applying to the program. So I thank you so much, and I hand it back to you, Wesley.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Scott. Sure, I'm not on mute. That was great. I know we have some organizational higher end questions about ICONS. I'm going to hold off on those so we can chat with some of our students, or all of our students. Again, we have 4 with us today, and first up, I would like to introduce Esther. Esther, if you could, oh, there you are. You're on my screen. Come off mute and say a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, my name is Esther. I am a bio major, class of 2026, currently in ICONS 13. We are, I forgot our class name.
Oceans
13. We are Oceans 13. I am originally from Lagos, Nigeria, but I'm currently based in Springfield. And yeah, welcome to UMass.
Wonderful. Esther, you are a commuter. You mentioned you live in Springfield, Massachusetts. So you've had limitations on your time that you're able to be on campus. I just learned that you do have a car now, so that is, freedom on wheels, which is wonderful.
Yes.
And so you've had a limitation on your time, especially nights and weekends. And I'm just curious, you've been successful in ICONS. You're volunteering to help us with this. How have you navigated this particular obstacle as far, and within ICONS, but also within UMass, being a commuter with a long bus ride every day?
Okay. Honestly, it was hard. It is hard because not only did I have a long commute, but I also had a curfew. So I still have the curfew, but um so going to school, taking a bus 2 hours to get there, 2 hours back. So about 4 hours commute every day. Um, there was the limitations were there. So my schedule usually went like I'd be out the house by like 6:30 a.m., get on campus by 9 o'clock, and then my classes. And then by 5 p.m., that's when the last bus that'll get me home before my curfew leaves. So I had to be at the bus stop by 5 p.m. So with that, I didn't really have much time to interact with friends, interact with my even my professors, get the help that I needed. So icons was like a breath of fresh air for me because not only were the classes like small in a way where I can interact with professors and interact with students directly, but also like it was very flexible because icons is mainly group-based projects. So yes, we have assignments, but they're mainly group-based. And as long as you carry your weight, you don't really have much to worry about in cases like that. And most of the time, the people I've been grouped with were very understanding of my situation. I explained to them that like they'd be asking, oh, when you guys want to meet, I'm available on this day, this day, this day, at this time. We could meet at Student Union, we could meet here. And I'm like, actually, I'm not going to be on campus at this time. So, like, can I meet on Zoom or something? And usually, they all comply. If they all meet in person, and I'll be there in via Zoom, um, taking part of it. Even if I'm on the bus, that's why we have our phones. So I'm on the phone on Zoom, still contributing to ideas, still contributing to the project. So that flexibility is not one that you see that we get. Um, Especially my major as a bio major, we don't really, with our big lectures during freshman and sophomore year, you don't really get that chance to interact with students and also like that flexibility to really like do things outside of campus. So yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Esther. If you have any questions directed at Esther, you can certainly put them in the chat, or if anyone wants to pop off mute and ask now, that's fine. If I don't hear from anyone, I will move on. So I'm gonna ask Katie to come off mute and say hello and talk a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi. I'm Katie. I'm a rising sophomore, so I just finished up my freshman year and I've taken one icons course, which was the one that I took last spring. I am a physics and math double major, and I'm hoping to add a computer science minor, but UMass doesn't let you until you've taken a few of the courses, so I'm on my last one before I can add the minor. And I'm originally from Wayland, Massachusetts, which is where I'm at right now. I'm not too far from home when I'm at UMass, which I'm very thankful for. And I I just have had 1 year in icon so far, but it's been a great experience. I've also only had 1 year at UMass, but I've really enjoyed my time there, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you. So Katie, you just took Icons 1, as you said. You're a rising sophomore, and I'm curious, based on your 1 year of experience, how you see the Icons class, that one example, being different from your other classes.
Yeah, I mean, I was a very ambitious freshman and I took a lot of credits in the spring, and so I was like crazy loaded with work, and icons was like just a completely different environment than all the rest of my classes. I think that the one that it was most similar to was probably we had team-based learning sections for my physics class because I took a physics for physics majors, and they like in the physics department they really like us like meeting each other because it's such a small major, and so like when we have connections it helps us stay, I think. But we would have a team-based learning section, and that was very similar to icons. I thought that it was really refreshing that like the classes were mostly me talking to my peers about like stuff that we wanted to do instead of me listening to somebody and then like set like a teacher talk and then doing stuff by myself. I liked that it was very like self-paced in terms of work too. So like I could talk to my team members. We would have like a big amount of time, like bigger than like weeks or something to like finish like a part of a project, and then we would have a presentation to do on it, and we all sort of like we're all responsible for what we did to like further the project. We made a plan at the beginning. We were like, okay, I'm going to talk to this person this week. We'll meet up at this time. Like, we'll make this poster at this time. And you were kind of just like responsible for creating your own work instead of having like specific things that you had to turn in other than like self-reflections and stuff. So that was like a totally different structure. And then I also think that it let me make a lot of connections outside of my major, which is like I'm the physics and math double major, and there's like a lot of overlap, and I'm not really seeing any new faces other than in icons, which was nice.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Katie. All right, so I'm going to ask Shaylin to come off mute and say hello.
Hi everyone. So I am a rising senior and I'm double majoring in mechanical engineering and math. I'm on the renewable energy track and I joined Icons my freshman year, so I'm going into Icons 4 with my honors thesis.
What do you think you'll be doing or with that?
So I'm taking one of the honors thesis offered by the Honors College. So the class that I chose goes into the culture of American homes and kind of how that has developed over time. So
Yes,
yeah.
I read about that one. That looks interesting.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Shaylin, you're, as you said, a mechanical engineer and mathematics major. Both of those are demanding majors with your class schedule and everything being lined up right. And I know we have many engineers on the call today and engineers that are interested in icons. Can you speak to the time commitment for the icons classes? Several of you have talked about the teamwork and working outside of class, but do you notice a difference in any of these classes from other classes? And can you talk about that?
So I would say the time commitment for icons isn't any different than like any other like 4 credit honors class. I feel like it's very, like Esther and Katie have said, it's very self-paced. You kind of set your own goals throughout the semester. And, I've never been in the situation where I've had to like think about quitting icons because it's taking too much time away from my from my classes within my major. I feel like obviously you need time management, but the workload is reasonable and the expectations that professors have for you are also very reasonable. So as long as you put your best work in, then your grade will reflect that. And honestly, the time that I put into icons has never been an issue for me.
Great. Thank you very much, Shaylin. All right. Can I have Lauren, our last student, come and say hello?
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren. I am a rising senior, and I study food science with biochemistry. I'm from Vietnam, so I'm an international student, and I first want to join Icons because it's helpful for my honors, all of the requirements. But then I'm really grateful because Icons really opened the world for me. Like I get to, a lot of access to a lot of resources. And since I'm in food science, I have been concerned about the food system. And like Scott mentioned in the beginning, climate, water, and food are tied together. So when I entered Icons, I realized, oh, it's not only about food, it's about the climate, it's about the water. And that's really concerning. So my goal right now is to gather all the people who love food, who want to make a really sustainable food system together so that we can build a new food world. I don't know. Yeah, so that's about me.
Wonderful, Lauren. Thank you so much. I have a two-part question for you. as you said, senior food science major, and I'm curious what you believe food science majors bring to icons, or to a team, like
Mm.
that type of thinking, the knowledge base of it, and how could icons benefit a food science major? So what do you bring and what do you take?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Thank you.
So food science, well, in my major right now we do food science. It's really broad. Right now in food science I work in the lab on plant-based food, so it's really physics. It's like about the texture, and it's about, all about like research on the consumers. But food science, like I said, is really broad. So if you love chemistry, food safety is also a field that most of the food chemistry people interested in to, determine the chemicals within the food. And there's lots of opportunity. So when I learned food science, it's really broad. However, um we only know about food. So that's it's not sad, but like we only focus on food. And then when I enter icons, it's provide me a lot of perspective. So food is not only about food, it's about, you know, the water and the climate, but also the finance and the consumers. Like, do the consumer want these food? Like plant-based products right now in the market, not everyone wants to eat it because the texture is different, right? Uh, Hopefully people understand what I'm talking about. And then cell cultured meat, like Florida has banned cell cultured recently, so it's about policy as well. So food science is not only about food science, and I'm glad I enter Icon to open my mind about when I want to solve a problem, it's not about using one tools. We have to combine every majors together. We need data science people, we need I don't know, finance people, we need psychology people. So Icon is a great place to brainstorm all the ideas to solve big word problem.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We just had two questions about computer science majors because all of you, other than Katie, maybe adding a minor, I think, are from, engineering, the sciences, sort of the heart, maybe what people think of as STEM, where computer science is STEM. So I have a point, and then I'm going to ask Scott to talk about something. But just to let you know, for the past 2 years, I believe, computer science has been our number one represented major of the new cohorts. So there is a home for you in icons because one, there's probably a reason you got into computer science, and that is because we are a computer world, and there's not much being solved without some sort of data set or something to do with machine learning or artificial intelligence. So you have a place on every team. I wish I could put a computer scientist on every icons team. But Scott, I'd love for you to just talk about, because it involved a lot of our computer science, math, and computer systems engineering students last fall, about our top team that we had while working with, I'm going to let you discuss it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so let's see, it was last fall. We were actually during the summer before, so about a year ago, we were contacted, Icons was contacted by the federal government, the Census Bureau and the Department of Energy, and they were recruiting. They had reached out to 9 universities across the United States, including universities like Berkeley, like Texas, like Columbia, etc., to recruit teams to work on a problem related to using, basically creating digital tools, so computer programs, websites, things like that, apps that could enhance equity and access to electricity after big storms. So the problem being that with climate change, there's lots more big storms. We lose power. And unfortunately, there seems to be a correlation between your socioeconomic status and how long you lose power. And so how can we solve that problem? And that's a very broad ask, which gives, and that's very iconsy in the sense that here's a problem, and there's no preconceived notion on what a solution's going to look like. So that's why they sort of crowdsourced these university teams. So an icons team stepped up to that. I was the advisor of the team. And I myself am a computational chemist, so I have lots of experience with computers and big data and data science. And so we had on the team 3 seniors in icons, majoring in things like computer science, computer engineering, mathematics, and three juniors. And what they did was, their outcome was, they decided they wanted to build an interactive map of the United States at the most granular possible level that was a heat map showing inequity in how long power outages were. And so that if there is a power outage, a utility could use that map, could focus in on their geographical domain and look to see where in the past there has been social inequity in access to electricity, so they could send trucks to that area. So it just gives you a sense that there's no way we're solving this problem without, computer scientists, computer engineers in the room. So that just gives one example.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. That was a wonderful example. Again, shout out at, don't shout out, but ask a question if you have one, or put it in the chat. I'm trying to answer ones. I have another one for Scott, not to keep him talking, but Scott is also an instructor in the program. He currently teaches our Icons 4, which is basically our seniors, doing the 1 credit seminar and their senior projects. But he has also for many, many years taught one of the Icons 2 classes, which satisfies your junior year writing for most majors. So Scott, we did have a question. One was regarding, do you get grades and does that count against your GPA? And I answered that on the chat that yes, these are classes and they will affect, hopefully positively, your GPA. And then someone asked about grading, and I felt that that was a better answer live. So can you just discuss a little bit about the philosophy of Icons grading?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing that we do is we give you a menu. So on the syllabus, we give you a menu of learning objectives associated with each Icons course. So let's say you're stepping into Icons 2, a communication course. And what we do is we give you a menu of ways in which you can improve your communication skills. And we ask you to order 2 or 3 items off the menu. And what you're saying is, these are the 2 or 3 areas where I feel it's important to me to grow as a communicator, and it'll be different for every student. Then what we do is you have various assignments throughout the semester, and you receive grades on those assignments, but there's always the opportunity for you to, what that grade really is, it's that this is the quality of it right now. You always have an opportunity to revise the assignment and, turn it in, honestly, as many times as you want to get basically the quality of that work as high as it can be. Then you reflect on what you've learned. And what you do is you're telling us, relative to the learning objectives that you chose, how much progress are you making? So then that's the first half of the semester in Icons 2. The second half is you have a big team project, and that team project culminates in something like a big report. It could be, let's say you want to figure out how to increase wind energy in the town of Amherst. And so what we do is we look at the quality of the report, and we give a grade to the quality of the report. And just like the individual stuff, you have lots of opportunity to revise and improve that. But we also look at the quality of the teamwork. And we ask every member of the team to give a sense of how was the teamwork. And then it's important that not only the product of the teamwork is good, but the teamwork itself is good. And of course, that means that everybody is stepping up, everybody's contributing, everybody feels heard and appreciated. So in the end, you write a big reflection on the course, and that big reflection is basically you telling us what you think you've learned, and as a result, the grade that you believe you deserve. And we put it all together, and most students do really well because I think it was Katie who said, when you're really passionate about what you're working on, you give it your all.
Wonderful. Thank you. I want to open this up to the 4Icon students. Sometimes I ask individuals ones, but just in case any of you have a particular thought, I'm curious, what is one or two things that you so far have really enjoyed about icons that maybe some people, it's not part of the whole academic speak that we might talk about. Does anyone have an example of anything that they haven't shared already? Jalen?
My favorite part about icons is just our opportunity to work on a team and the connections that are made on that team, because throughout the semester, it can get stressful sometimes, and you're all on the same boat, and friendships really can come out of that team, because you guys are all going through the same thing. And that's just like my favorite part, is just all the connections I've made and all the people I've gotten to meet, and all the interesting projects that I've gotten to work on these teams.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Someone asked, I'm not sure of the exact words, but it's in regards to, what makes you a good candidate for icons, help with the application. Again, just remind you, there is an application support session. I believe it's October 8th. And that'll be in the evening, so you'll all be invited to that. And that's where, we'll talk a little bit more, but a real short answer is, one, I think we like to see people be themselves, be honest and true to themselves. We like to look for breadth and depth of curiosity, not always that you have 4 years of running the junior biology organization in your town and you know everything already. But that you're curious about a lot of different things, or that problems are multifaceted, and that there's maybe no one solution for a problem. And so, take that for what it is, that, we want to see your curiosity. Katie, you're the youngest, I guess, person on here. Do you recall anything about your application? Not specifically your essays, but just maybe thematically. You're struggling, so I don't want to put you on the spot if you can't think of anything.
I mean, I think that thematically it was more just like I tried to share my passion for the change that needs to be made, and how vital I feel that my majors can apply to that. I remember talking about the things that I've done within my major, or the things that I want to do within my major, and how that applies to the tracks that I saw that you guys had. And I think I talked about how what I thought the importance was of all different majors working together versus just a specialty of people working together.
Perfect. And I'm putting the application link in the chat because someone asked about it. The application did go live yesterday. I put a link. There's no benefit or harm in applying now or applying at 11:58 p.m. on Tuesday, October 15th. So I recommend you take your time, I guess, and formulate your ideas. But certainly, if you already have your ideas formulated, apply. And so I put that link into the chat. And now I'm blanking on what I was going to say that was based off, Katie, something you talked about that I thought Scott would talk about because he did last night, but now I can't remember. So never mind that. I'm seeing some questions answered in the chat. Oh, right, yes, Scott mentioned it in a chat, and this is what I wanted to talk about. The application process, there's some basic, biographical information, who are you, where you're from, that type thing, your email, what's your major. In addition, there's 3 essay questions. One looks forward, one looks at the past. And then a phone or Zoom interview with an Icons graduate, an alumna or alumnus of the program. And those are usually about 10 minutes. And those are students who came through Icons, and they're giving their time to interview you, and they have a passion and they're excited about talking to you. And so, and then we mesh all that data up and try to figure out who's the best fit for Icons. So that's a little bit more about the application process. And again, you'll learn in more detail if you go to the application support session. Are there any other questions now? Because I know that, we've been doing this for several years now. One question that often comes up is if you apply as a freshman or first year student and you don't get in, can you apply as a second year student? And that is a definite yes. Not only do we accept second year students, even if it's your first time, it does not negatively impact you having not gotten into the program the year before. Sometimes it's just a numbers game. You could have been a wonderful candidate, and based on the pool, you never know. So please do apply if you don't get in again. The committee does not know your name, and so they don't know you didn't get in unless you put it in their essay. Something long there. Did someone type that? Oh,
That was me.
yeah. Scott put in
I'm
for
very
everyone the
long-winded.
questions. So if you want to see those, we won't talk about them out loud right now. Can anyone of the students, the Icon students, talk about community? I know a lot of students, Lauren, I see you can, a lot of students can make friends. It's one more way of making UMass smaller. We have our iSpace, which is what Scott is sitting in, as I said earlier, which is a great place for teams to meet, for folks to study. There's a lot of things happening in there. But Lauren, can you talk a little bit about community?
Yeah, of course. I also want to share about my journey in Icons because it's
Perfect.
pretty chaotic. So I do made a lot of friends and connections here because in my freshman year I did biomedical track a little bit. And then in my sophomore year I switched into renewable energy. And during like last year, which is my junior year, I do finance. So I do explore a lot of perspective, lots of track and Icons, and we also just had a new track which is food, water and climate, which what I'm doing right now. So I'm really grateful about the resources first of all, but of course the communities. Like when I switching track, it's totally new, but everyone is really supportive and really help me to learn more stuff. Like it's not something that I feel intimidated when I'm thinking back about, like, when I first switched into renewable energy, it's all about engineer. And my project is on like sustainable architecture, where me and one more of my teammate, a team of only 2 students, but we did a project on how to use algae in architecture to capture the sunlight and generate like energy. So that is a really cool project. It was really new, but everyone's around me are really like supportive. We have fun together, although like all of us are really busy. It's not easy, but everyone is encouraging. The instructor we talk about stuff a lot. So yeah, that's why I want to share. And I just want to say that, like, please don't limit yourself. Yeah.
Awesome.
Can I also say
Yes,
something to that?
Esther.
So, as a commuter who has to leave campus at 5 p.m. every day, I literally did not have chance to really interact with other students. So like a lot of the clubs, a lot of the student meetings, a lot of everything start after 5 p.m. after I'm gone. So there's no like sense of community. I didn't have a sense of community, at least during the freshman year. I had friends here and there that I met online that we were like, oh, we both go to UMass. All right, bet, let's meet up. There wasn't like a community I can say that I found myself in. And I think Icons was probably the first like community that I feel like I was a part of. Not only because like, well, maybe, but like Icons it was a big class. We were like 70, well, our cohort was like 72, 76, yes. But like within each group, it was like we're constantly interacting with these same people. And it was like, it may not have been meant anything to some people, but to me, that really meant a lot because it felt like I was just a student. I was just another student on the UMass campus. But Icons was like, okay, I'm a student of the Icons program. I'm not just a random student at UMass. So,
Great.
yeah.
Well, that's nice to hear. Thank you. We have a few minutes left. And again, some of the questions that have been asked before that I can answer. Some people ask, does this cost money? Is this additional money? You know, is it a revenue generating program for the university? No, this is an academic program. It is part of your tuition. So there are no additional fees to be in Icons. On the topic of money, there are some Icons only scholarships. We're always working to get more scholarships for our students. And I think actually some of you on this call are scholarship recipients for Icons. And there's also, we often help students with their research. A lot of the class research, all the class research equipment, you know, vegetable oils and wind turbines and soil and things like that, you know, gets paid for from the program. But also if you have research needs as a senior, you know, come to Icons. We can try to support that at the best of our ability. In addition, like anything else where you make your community smaller and you make UMass smaller, Icons can help you get internships, jobs, and scholarships just because you now have something else, another bullet point on your resume to talk about the research that you're doing. So it's a wonderful way of opening a door when comparing two students, one in Icons and one in not. So I wanted to give that. Scott, one question I like to ask on this, because people do ask about life after UMass and you know, what Icons is. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, what do our alumni do? What does Icons really prepare you for?
Yeah, thank you. So in my conversations with the alumni, the short answer is whatever they want. And that's it's a little glib of an answer, but it means a couple things. First of all, Icons helps you in the process of doing Icons discover what you're about, what you love, so you can focus on that. We also have internships that Icons itself is like an internship on campus that helps you get an internship off campus, which gets your foot in the door for a job or some experience. And also Icons gives you those critical skills, the skills about knowing, practicing answering the right question, practicing designing how to answer a question, practicing communicating to a broad spectrum of audiences, practicing collaborating across diverse teams. So these are the kinds of skills that you can talk about that help you get that really your first choice of job. We've had people go into work for big research companies, pharmaceutical companies, companies that make new, you know, materials, advanced materials. We've had students go in to medical school. Lots of students, lots of pre-meds come into Icons, and we've had great success placing them in top medical schools, you know, the top three being things like, you know, Harvard or Johns Hopkins or University of California, but really also, you know, medical schools here right in our own backyard, the UMass Med, which is an outstanding medical school. We've had students go into education. They're so enamored with this kind of teaching and learning. They decide they just want to spend their life teaching and learning in this way. We've had students go into entrepreneurship, where they're starting their own company. We've had students go into government policy. We've had students go into law. Several of our students have become lawyers, have become veterinarians. We've had dentists. I mean, you name it. The key is that Icons helps you to figure out who you are, what you want to do, and then Icons helps you to get the skills to distinguish yourself in getting that job. And oftentimes, Icons helps you to get the internship that gets your foot in the door.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm going to throw it back to Scott in a minute just for a conclusion, but I do, it stood out when you were talking about the jobs that I want to not remind, because you don't know, as an incoming student or as a sophomore, you know, we offer this certificate for policy and business students, but that is pretty new thing. We just graduated our first business students last year, so we don't have a lot of data on alumni going into you know, more business focus. So if you're on this call, think as a management or finance and operations student, and you're not hearing anything that stands out to you, we just don't have that data yet, and we will. But the point of Icons also is because anything that's happening in the world, it's taking, you know, business and marketing and public health and science, you know, all that's being there to solve problems. So our alumni are doing that work, even if they're not working for like Deloitte or you know, Goldman Sachs or something like that, which they may be. So again, thank you. I did put in something in the chat, the Icons email. I don't know, oftentimes the Icons students, if they want, they can share their chats, their emails in the chat in case someone has anything specific to ask them. But please ask me questions if you have them. You will get either this recording or last night's recording sent to you. And I do want to thank you one last time, and I'm going to send it over to Scott for our final goodbyes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Again, thank you, Wesley, for pulling us together and doing such an outstanding job every day with Icons. Thank you to the students, Shaylin, Lauren, Katie, and Esther, for sharing your pearls of wisdom. And thank you to everybody on this call for coming and expressing your interest in Icons. You know, we're living in a crazy time right now. I don't know if you feel it, but I'm definitely feeling it. Feels like we're living in a crazy time. And there's always the question, is there reason to hope? It's one thing to be hopeful. It's another thing to have reason to hope. And every time I hear Icon students talk about their experience, that gives me reason to hope. And you all, the interest that you bring, the energy that you bring, the desire to solve problems that are the problems of your time is the reason to hope. So I know everybody wants to have that, and Icons is a wonderful place to get it. So to do that, I ask you for one thing, and that's to apply to Icons. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. There are some emails going in the chat if you want to take a minute to copy paste those. Have a great rest of your day if it's day, or if you're international, the rest of your night. And we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.